doing. I do think that now we are locked into a position, unfortunately, where boots on the ground are going to be required. And we saw this in Iraq and we saw this in Afghanistan. And these are very different wars and these are very different forms of engagement. But when you're dealing with a country of 90 million people with, an absolute shit ton of different ideologies and sects of Islam and ethnic groups and all these different things, we will literally be doing exactly what we did in Afghanistan, which is when one village is accidentally hit by a Black Hawk, right? We accidentally destroy a water distribution center, a food distribution center. We're going to have to put American soldiers into a village and the outskirts in some random town and city because we have to win the hearts and minds over of the people to essentially instill trust in us, right? And that is before any form of regime change can ever take place. And that's if the people can actually agree on what they want post the current Ayatollah, which is very unlikely. If anything, the Iranian people, as most of us probably know, desire to be left alone. They probably preferred what they had rather than being totally bombarded, no matter what. 40,000, 50,000, even 100,000 people. Let's say 100,000 people were killed because they were protesting against their current government or regime. I think that 90 million, there's at least 30 million there who probably don't care and are loyal to the current regime, and then the rest all have their own separate and ideologies that they care about. So it's an unfortunate situation, and Israel ultimately placed us into this situation where now we have to be there. We have to go because we have to keep appearances up, because we have to get the photo op, because we have to ensure some form of stability. Why? Because Europe will see an economic downturn that they haven't seen since World War I. And that's just the truth. Iran's entire plan in defense of an attack like this is to strike everyone else economically. And that's what they're going to do. And unfortunately, too, I do think that the Middle East is a prime strategic region. Yes, go ahead, man. Sorry.
So I'm teeter-tottering on the fence of, is he kidding? Is he trolling? Is he not? Is he being sarcastic? And it's kind of yes, and wait, no, maybe he's not. So I guess I'm trying to understand. It's so I know a lot of it was facetious, some of the things that you were saying, but are you truly making that your stance now, is that this is something, because I feel some of the things that you said, it was just wild, that's not, he can't possibly think that. And then there's other things that you said that were...
Well, I'll ask you this. I'd love to answer. Any question?
You smiling like that. I can tell you smiling like that.
I'd love to answer any question you have.
So you're kidding about having to go and create basic places for them to stay and to, I don't know, have their camera shot. All of that was a joke, right?
I think that the American government certainly is going to have to rehabilitate itself in the eyes of the American people, which means photo opportunities. That's exactly what we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. We went over there doing peacekeeping, quote unquote, peacekeeping operations. Meanwhile, you have one ideology shooting at the other. And then when, Americans 100 miles away are working alongside one group and then, they're not communicating, the other ideology is attacking that group while Americans are helping that group. So it's a compounding factor. I think that, ultimately Americans, unfortunately, are going to be put in a position where they have to redeem themselves in the eyes of the world. That this is a necessary conflict, and in fact, we're going to help the people, which, again, Maze, I want to make this perfectly clear. I don't think that any of this is justified. I think that it's all very evil. And I think that what's going on is very dark. And ultimately, what this means is we have sold our soul to the Israeli intelligence apparatus. I genuinely believe that. I think that this is the first time since 1948, when Israel was established, that the American government has conceded all powers to Israel, and now we are sitting here, and I mean, we've given away the leash, and we're now the dog on the chain. When in history, even in Libya, Syria, Iraq, or Afghanistan, or Egypt, there was at least this presumption that America was leading the conflict and that we were the dominant force. Now, that may have not necessarily been true, but it was certainly true in the eyes of the public. Now, if you look at 90% of the American people vehemently disagree with what's going on in Iran right now. People don't see it that way. People actually view us as being used as a dog, as a bitch to Israel. So I hope that clarifies it. It's not that I think that that's what we should do. I think that that's going to be the rational American response because, unfortunately, history repeats itself.
It's hard for me to even really fathom the idea of having to sustain my life in this world that I now see so differently. Like I know that voting is not going to be the way, because obviously all of it is all like people that just don't understand the occupation that has taken shape, that is completely creating this class war between the haves and the have-nots, and just understanding that it is at our expense that all of this is happening over there. It's crazy. It's like, what do we do in this type of situation? It's wild. But I appreciate your take, although I don't think that's the I don't know. At this point, it's like, what do we do? Like, there's Iran. I don't think in that situation is going to be like. Yeah, I mean, 92 million people. Like, when you look at Iraq, it is destroyed. Afghanistan, obviously destroyed. It created these, like, little vacuums where they were able to, whoever gets there first is going to kind of take over. And I think that they're perhaps leaving those maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't see Iran going down like that, or I don't see this situation panning out that way. But, boots on the ground. Do you understand how many they would have to commit so many troops to be able to pull this shit off?
Well, Maze, I was saying, I don't think that we can. Unfortunately, I think that what's happening is, and I know this is going to fucking disappoint a lot of people, but the reality is that we're looking at something that will last far longer than 20 years, like we did in Afghanistan. I think that this is going to be, because really, I mean, I think about it too. Iran is, I mean, the Strait of Hormuz and their capability to disrupt the world economy is so massive that essentially we have to stabilize the region in some capacity. And that is going to take long-lasting presence. And the people of Iran are going to be very displeased. And of course they are. Hello, I mean, obviously, I would be too. But that's sort of the reality that we're facing. And, if I was president tomorrow, what would I say to Trump? I would say that you essentially sold our intelligence apparatus to a country that has absolutely eaten you alive. And we should be, instead garnering influence within Iran and working alongside the Ayatollah against our genuine, at least competitor, China, if not adversary. But instead, we've decided to allow Israel to eat up these massive defense contracting companies and intelligence, and look at Palantir and all the rest. And now we are beholden to them, because for many years it was actually a myth. It was a myth that Israel gave us any valuable intelligence, and unfortunately, if we have position ourselves to be the enemy of Iran, then now more than ever, Israel can offer valuable intelligence, and it's much easier to sell that to the American people than than it ever has been before. Before it was all smoke and mirrors, right, on TV, on CNN, on MSNBC, etc.
Bro, that's actually a very interesting take. I don't like it. I don't like the truth of it, but you can't help but to see it, because that is now, obviously, they have infiltrated, not only when we talk about the cyber apparatus, the cybersecurity apparatus, they have already positioned themselves as the cybersecurity arm of everything critical, infrastructure-wise, in the United States. In addition to that, they are heading up the Partnership for Cyber Crimes at the global level. So this is across the Five Eyes. Palantir is very much involved creating the AI integration layer of all the data that all of these different militaries, all of these different government agencies have accumulated, so far, that live in its silos. And then in all the different applications in which even Palantir served as their AI intelligence that was, for targeting and Gaza and Palestinians. So what you're saying, I think.
I just want to offer like some form of white pill in my message, I guess, which is that, for America to change, it's not going to be an external factor. I mean, listen, I know a lot of people put a lot of praise on Iran in these circles, and I've seen a lot of it online. But the Iranian regime and the military capabilities that they have cannot last long term. It's going to be hell for United States troops that are going to be clearing it door to door, 2,000 houses a day, as they did during the Gulf War or Desert Storm or the invasion of Iraq or anything else. They're going to be walking into someone holding a machine gun and blowing the head off of the first private that walks through the door. And I'm a Army veteran infantryman, and I know some people that have experienced that firsthand, and it's heartbreaking. And I know that those guys struggle with that very much, and I wish that they hadn't. But the white pill is that change is now operating within. Again, there's 90% of people in America that completely disagree with what we are doing right now in Iran, which was not, this was not, it wasn't 90% when you talk about Iraq or Afghanistan or anything else. So I believe that there is a leg in the machine now for like America First policies. And I think we're on the verge of massive change, which could end this possibility of a conflict lasting more than 20 years. And I think that it's real, and I think that it can be established, despite the entire establishment being against it.
So this being the catalyst, you think?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it might be a necessary situation where a lot of innocent people, American and Iranian lives, will be lost. But if this isn't the wake-up call that people needed, then I don't really know what is. Maybe
it's me, but I just don't see people doing anything about it because they don't know what to do. I think that there's, outside of just expressing outrage and these emotional reactive type of environments that were curated for this. And I think there's just this
Well, Maze, you establish a block of people within Congress. So do not vote for anyone that is for Israel, that has taken money from AIPAC. Limit your vote. I think every American, 90% of Americans, should limit their vote to only those who are adamantly against Israel. If they even show a slight interest in that country, they should not be voted for and should be completely disregarded. Don't vote if that's what it means. Vote Democrat. If you're a Republican, vote Republican. If you're a Democrat, it's going to take a strong unit, and that unit only really has to be made up of 3 people in order to stall congressional decisions. I think that's what's most important. If you get 3 people in Congress, those 3 people can sway the decisions of the executive branch, and they could really fuck the government up in a massive way. That's my prescription. That's what you do. Vote for anyone who's anti-Israel. Don't vote for anyone who is. Vote against your party if you have to.
Interesting. Okay, so let's take some hands. So Shadow is kind of like a co-host in here, so I'm going to go to him first, and then I'll tap in with Brennan, and then we'll go to Ruby.
Just real quick, I only got, I think a lot of people after the last year and a half that Trump's been president, a lot of people are not going to vote ever again. Like, that's not a solution for people anymore. Like, I feel like people just gotta, there's no point. I feel like, look, I see the thumbs down. I'm not discouraging you from voting, but I'm just telling you that
voting is the only political capital that you have.
I agree, but I also disagree. What I'm saying is you can vote, but
you can't agree and disagree. You either agree or disagree. Okay, but be precise. Like, I can't deal with abstraction.
Guys, listen. I actually feel what Shadow's trying to say is that isn't going to solve because people have been voting and that's not going to solve for it. But go ahead, Shadow.
Now, my point is, like, do you really think you can vote out everybody who's anti-Israel?
No, I said vote out 5. I said vote out 3 people. Ideally 5.
3 people. Okay, I didn't hear that part. I only heard the last part.
Yeah, ideally 3 to 5 people, and then you can stranglehold the entire executive branch.
Okay, that doesn't sound like a bad idea, and I would never put your ideas down. But the only problem is this. You know what I hate about our government? And let me just get this off my chest. Like, you know, people that are like outsiders, they go inside the government with good intentions, saying, yes, I'm going to go in to change things. But by the time they go inside, they become exactly what they were supposed to go against. And that happens all the time. That's the biggest problem that I do not understand. You know why that is? Because there are people, when you go inside that political system, there's people around you that you don't even know that, like, there's like all these, like, not agents, the word I'm looking for, assistants and staffers, like, who have history of working with other corrupt politicians, so they know exactly how to, like, manufacture.
Shadow, I must say. No, but I agree with him, but it's not 20 years ago. Today we are actually operating under a completely different umbrella where the mainstream media is totally obsolete and where even alternative forms of media are gaining far more traction than even Twitter or Rumble. I mean, you look at someone like Nick Fuentes, who was able to stream to, 150 live viewers without Rumble even existing. I don't know if you're a fan or like him or something.
No, I don't have anything bad about him. Like, I agree with certain things, and I disagree with certain things. I'm like that with everybody. But my thing is, even with the alternative media, and I'm glad you brought that up. Like, that was a great. Like, when Trump was rigged from the 2020 election was rigged and they kicked Trump off of Twitter 1.0, everybody remembers that. And then they had the COVID censorship, which was like years long. The new media started rising, right? The problem with that new media is a lot of them have just become propagandists for the Trump administration. They're just like I agree. Like, listen, I would never tell somebody don't support Trump or hate him. Like, you can support Trump, but when he does something that's against the interests of this country, you can disagree with him and still support him. That's the difference.
I say burn Trump to the ground, Chad.
I mean, look, I agree. I'm not against that either. Whatever works, I'm willing to do that. But what I'm saying is these people that are the new media, they agree with everything that they said they were not going to do in 2024. 2024 was not that long ago. Like, I remember everything. Like, in 2024, everybody in this room would have agreed upon vaccines, lockdowns, Dr. Fauci, Ukraine, election fund. We would all agree. Everybody would be having their thumbs up. But since Trump became president again, we've had every single main issue we've all disagreed on, and it's like the conservatives are just crazy, and the new alternative views are just going along with anything. Like, when it came to Venezuela, when it came to the Charlie Kirk assassination, when it comes to Israel, when it comes to the war in Iran, it's like they don't even have brains anymore. They're just like yes, and it's like the only.
Well, I don't know what your position is on those topics, like Venezuela. Like, for example, I'm actually pro what we did in Venezuela. I'm an American imperialist. You can check my profile or whatever. And when it comes to Charlie Kirk, I think that he was probably killed by some crazed tranny. But with that being said,
I'm too smart for that. Tranny, please, you're telling me the FBI, when is the last time the FBI has correctly investigated a political assassination in this country?
Oh, never. But excuse me, I don't want to get bogged down on this.
I'm just asking.
What I'm trying to say is that I don't think that it just to disagree does not mean that everyone, like, you look at someone like Nick Fuentes, who one day is the most, avid anti-Semite in the entire world, for 8 years, banned from everything. Most of you probably didn't even know his name until the past 4 years, right? I've been friends with him for a lot longer. And not only that, but he goes from liking what went on in Venezuela to being the leader against the Trump Iranian operation, and I think that is actually a testament to our ability to freely think. People can come to certain conclusions, and now, if you notice, anyone that's backing Trump, I think that this is very particular. This is very important. Anyone that's backing Trump, anyone that's backing Fox News talking points, anyone that's telling you to vote for the establishment that currently wields power, and when I mean establishment, I mean both Democrats and Republicans, those people are our clear opposition. If someone has a different viewpoint on what happened to Charlie Kirk, like I'm assuming you do, I don't think that you are CIA controlled, fed up. I just think that you've come to a different conclusion than what I have.
I just don't think Charlie Kirk's bones were made out of some sort of special material where the bullet wouldn't come out.
We're not going to get into it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's kind of ridiculous, you know what I mean?
It's not a Charlie Kirk debate, but
I
think that me and you could disagree about that, while also saying the Republicans, the Democrats, they have both fucked us. We have both been corrupted and subversed by Israel for generations in this country, and it's a fucking problem, and that's the real message. And the problem is we cannot get bogged down.
But look, I let him finish because I also want to tap in with Destiny. I think she wants to comment on
just one last thing before we go back to Destiny is I just feel like right now people are getting sick of the right, and I don't want to just get steered to the left and then the Democrats are back in charge. That's not so.
Well, fuck them up.
Yeah, but anyway, that's all I wanted to say. But that was a good conversation with you, Dalton.
And look, Destiny, before you guys want to remind everybody.
As President of the United States, I will always support Jewish Americans, and I will always be a friend and a champion to the Jewish people. I have and I will say, if you go back 10, 12, 15 years ago at the most, the strongest lobby in Washington was the Jewish lobby.
Go ahead, Destiny, jump in. No, I just wanted to reiterate a point that Dalton was saying. Although I totally agree that we can't vote our way out of this, I've been hollering to no avail about Democratic backsliding for the past 5 years. It's a very real process. We are very much in the midst of it. And the only thing that we have that is keeping us from being in an autocracy right now is that we still have some free and fair elections, right? We don't want to lose that. It's not going to save the fucking day, but we can't lose it. It's integral to our system of government, and it's fundamental to Americanism. So, I understand, we can't vote our way out of it. I mean, I voted for Trump. Obviously, I regret that decision. It doesn't matter because I wasn't going to vote for fucking Kamala. But we have to keep it, and it's something I tell people all the time. I'm really ready to they kind of just at the point where everything is so bad and it's all so polluted and blah, 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 that we just got to do away with it all. And I think that's a very drastic, very radical point of view. I say don't fix what's not broken. There's nothing wrong with our system of government. There is something wrong with the people within it. That is the problem, in my opinion. So, we got to get out the corruption, put in better safeguards, and protect our Constitution and the democratic process. I think it's important, but it's not going to save the day. We, the people, are going to have to, actually pull our weight and make it meaningful to do anything.
We have to take action, and Destiny, I'll be clear about my position. I'm certainly anti-democracy. I'm certainly a fascist, but I do.
How did you get to these positions? You know what I'm saying? Like this is very interesting to me. Because he's like, I am an American imperialist, and it's like, I am a fascist. But you understand that when we begin to allow socialization of risk and issues, and then the private equity that is building as a result of that, it's creating the situation that we're in.
Well, the bureaucracy is what's causing our problems, and if we have a strong executive branch that is not that is solely answering to the people of the nation it represents. Right? Well, exactly. When I say I'm a fascist, I would say I'm ideally a fascist, but I pragmatically, I would say what I said before. I think that the next few years are our last legitimate opportunity at securing an America First bloc that will not only put America first, but also the people of the world first, because they're being punished by the Israeli maniacs.
Fascism that is taking over.
I wouldn't consider them fascist.
I would. The reason why is because it's through their ability to exploit, let's just say, our governments. It's not the bureaucracy. They've infiltrated through these agencies, and now they're partnering, creating a fourth sector to be able.
Because we had interest in the Middle East primarily during the Cold War.
You know what? I think that Israel, honestly, this may sound crazy to a lot of people, but I don't like. I think that the illusion of them being separate was useful. I think that now they find that they're just going to continue to lessen that illusion and make their what's the word, to strengthen the relationship and in terms of it moving out of even just being an ally. Like that's when you read a lot of these documents, what you're seeing is that they were pivoting a lot of the blame to Israel, which was useful for the United States at one time. And then they tried to overdo this whole ally thing and the anti-Semitism thing. And now it's almost like there's kind of a lack of, like, they don't even care. They're just like, whatever. You guys can think whatever you want. Like, that's why I played that little clip of President Trump. And I do want to just highlight and stick that to that idea of voting out the AIPAC people, but it's much bigger than AIPAC, to be honest with you. AIPAC is just the one that everybody knows about. But I will do a little bit of a deep dive